Today I'm going to show you how to create a worksheet for you to use in your classroom. In Microsoft PowerPoint, I'm going to go ahead and open a blank presentation. Next, I am going to go ahead and delete everything on the page. And I'm going to go ahead and go to File and Page Setup. We want to set it up just like a regular piece of paper that you use in your printer. So we're going to go ahead and do 8.5 inches by 11. Once we resize everything on our worksheet, we're going to go ahead and add a text box so students can put their name, date, and class period on the page, or whatever your preference is for your students. So I like to use two different types of fonts. I am going to go ahead and use a font from a Perfect Blend. I'm going to type in name, date, and period, because that is what I used in my classroom. So I'm going to use a thin font and then a very thick font for the title, because I think that is what looks best. So I'm going to use another font from a Perfect Blend and go ahead and write the title. I'm going to make my font larger, make sure everything is centered. So you can leave your titles like this. A little design tip that I like to do on some of my worksheets. If you are looking at the title text box, you can go to Shape Format and you can fill your text in with white and then create a black outline. Sometimes I just like the way it looks. You can also change the thickness of the line on your title. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add in another text box to type out our directions. And so it is very helpful to just stay with either one type of font or two types of fonts. When you start adding 3, 4, it kind of gets overwhelming and the design on your page doesn't look as clean for your students. So I'm going to go ahead and use the font that I used for the name, and I'm going to type in the directions for the worksheet. Okay, so now we have a place for students to write their name, we have our title, and then we have our directions. So we're going to go ahead and add some problems into our worksheet. I'm going to use some shapes to kind of separate things, chunk things, and make things look easier for your students to work on. So we're going to go ahead and add a rounded rectangle. You're going to drag and try to make it. I'm going to go ahead and put 4 of these rounded rectangles on my page. So I like to change the round edges on these shapes. You can change them by sliding this yellow dot back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it just like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill it and make sure I have a black outline. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and adjust the size. I will make a copy of them and I will use the markers on my page to help me make sure that everything is lined up evenly. So I will go ahead and copy both of these shapes and then put it down here. So I have 4 of them. I'm going to do 4 practice problems on this worksheet. You can see they're all lined up. It makes everything easy for your student to work through their problems. That's how I like to make some of my worksheets. Okay, so the next step we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add 4 text boxes inside my 4 shapes. And I'm going to go ahead and type in my problems for this worksheet. So like I said earlier about fonts, just to make sure that you pick 2 fonts for your worksheet that you're going to do. Don't add another one into the mix. It just will not look good design wise. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my 4 questions. Okay, now I have my worksheet completed. We have a place for students to put their name, date, class period, a title for our worksheet, directions, and then for this example, we used shapes to kind of organize things for students to do their work, have space to show their work, because for this one, it's doing some calculations, and so they have space in the shapes to do those calculations. I am finished with this worksheet here, but if you were wanting to add more to your worksheet, you would just go to Insert New Slide and add in a blank slide, and then add in whatever elements you needed to add to your worksheet. So we're going to go ahead and save this as a PDF. You go to File, Save As, and then name your file. And then you would save it as a PDF. That is the easiest way to save it to your desktop. And then it's easier to email PDFs than it is PowerPoints, because the fonts, if you have specific fonts on your computer, when you share PowerPoints and whoever you share it to doesn't have those fonts, it won't show up on their end. So I'm going to save it as a PDF, and you are finished.